man accused of sexual harassment by at least 6 women wrestlers, accused of using his position to prey on India's champions, a man whose misdeeds are splashed on the front pages of newspapers every day, 6-time BJP MP Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh seems to think he walks on air. In Mr. Singh's world, he can do no wrong. The fact that charge sheets being filed by the Delhi police are nailing him does not matter. And if you are such an important person, how dare a journalist ask you questions? What's worse, a woman journalist. How dare she ask you if you will resign? How dare she persist even after you've told her to shut up? Because in your delusional world, you're above question. And what's the big deal if you assault her? Shut your car door on her hand twice and break her mic. You, after all, are the great Brij Bhushan Singh, WFI president, who refuses to step down, answer questions or behave like a decent human being. Take a look at that entire sequence with Times Network reporter Tejshri Purandare.
So Brij Bhushan Singh Saran has arrived at the Delhi airport. We'll try to ask question to him. सिंह जी, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
मेरे पास
आपके खिलाफ अब चार्जशीट दायर हो गई. चार्जशीट में कई सारी चीजें सामने आ रही हैं. 354 AD सब कुछ
मेरे खिलाफ मेरे पास बोलने के आपके लिए बोलने के लिए मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है.
पुलिस ने कहा है कि कार्रवाई की जानी चाहिए. आप सजा के हकदार हैं.
मेरे पास आपके लिए कुछ मसाला नहीं है.
प्रियंका गांधी कह रही हैं कि आपको पार्टी निष्कासित क्यों नहीं कर रही है.
कोर्ट में चलिए, कोर्ट में.
क्या आप अभी इस्तीफा देंगे?
क्यों दे इस्तीफा?
इस्तीफा नहीं देंगे?
क्यों दे इस्तीफा? इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही हैं आप?
6 आपके खिलाफ आप इस तरह से कैसे बात कर सकते हैं? 6 आपके खिलाफ केसेस दायर हो चुके. क्या कहना चाहेंगे आप इस पर? 6 केसेस दायर हो चुके जिसमें सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट है और ये भी कहा गया है कि लगातार सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट किया गया. आपने उनको प्रोटीन पाउडर जब दे रहे थे तब भी आपने प्रोटीन सप्लीमेंट देने के इसमें किया गया. हमारे माइक. So this was Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh who just misbehaved with the media personals, and he has just, while we were speaking to him, he did not respond. He behaved in a rude manner, and that is what the Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, the BJP MP, who is accused of the alleged sexual harassment charges by the top wrestlers of the country, behaves in this manner. When we tried to ask the question, we tried to ask him that why is he not resigning. We tried to ask him that on what moral grounds on the sitting position as an MP. We tried to ask him that how will he put forward his point of view on July 18 when court has summoned him.
Did you hear that chup? Now, think of this. If Brij Bhushan has this arrogant attitude in public with a journalist, imagine how he's treating female athletes whose very careers depend on him. Tejshri Purandare will be joining me on the show in just a few minutes from now. But what really are the laws that protect journalists in the line of duty from such intimidation and threats? There is no national law that specifically protects the fourth estate. The freedom of the press is derived from the freedom of expression in Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. In 2015, a set of laws were recommended by the Press Council of India to protect journalists, but that has not yet seen the light of day. Interestingly, 2 states, Maharashtra and Chhattisgarh, have specific laws for protecting journalists in the line of duty. These laws protect against violence, intimidation and damage to equipment of journalists in the line of duty. In Maharashtra, it's a non-cognizable offence with a punishment of up to 3 years or a fine of 50,000 rupees. But has that stopped this kind of behavior? Unlikely, especially from people who think they're above questioning from the public. To speak on this, I'm first joined by Tejshri Purandare, Times Network reporter who faced this intimidation by Brij Bhushan Singh. I'm also speaking today with Tehseen Poonawala, legal activist, Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate, Sanjay Kapoor, senior journalist with me on the show. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Tejshri, I'm going to come to you first and, get your version of how these events took place. First of all, kudos to you, because I know at that first moment when you face such intimidation, for a second you can get taken back. It takes time to respond and realize what has just happened. But you held your ground, you persisted with your questions, and clearly he was very, very upset at being asked questions.
Well, you rightly pointed out that it happens at a times when we are asking questions, and such kind of incidents are very much unexpected because we were asking questions in a very decent way. We were doing our duty, we were doing our moral responsibility, what a journalist should do. And those were all questions that we asked, that the network asked, that were all related to the charge sheet and the details of the charge sheet that were mentioned by Delhi police. It was Delhi police who had mentioned that action could be taken against him. It was Delhi police who had mentioned that there are 6 cases against him. It was Delhi police who had mentioned several charges against him, and that also was mentioned that there are several digital evidences against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, the BJP MP, and that's what we were trying to do, that we were trying to ask him questions. But when we started asking him questions, first he tried to evade the questions, and when we asked him question regarding his resignation that it is his moral responsibility, should he resign or not, at that point of time we could see his behavior. First he shouted at us. In fact, despite of responding to those questions, despite of saying yes or no to those questions, he could have evaded the questions very easily, but he chose to question us not only once but thrice. If you could see the entire sequence in detail, so in that particular sequence he questions thrice to us that why should I resign? Why should I resign? And then again when we ask him that means you won't resign, so to which he responds, chup. Is this the way that a sitting MP who represents a constituency should behave?
It's not just chup. It's not just the word chup. It's how he says it. And you know, if you see that, when he's talking to you, he's squaring himself towards you. And he's moving ahead and telling you chup. It's an intimidating pose. We're playing that on loop, so you can see the body language over there. This is a man who is trying to intimidate you. Probably if this was not on camera, and if you were not a journalist, standing with a mic in your hand, I don't know what the situation would be. But clearly this is someone who doesn't like taking questions or being challenged. He doesn't want his authority to be challenged.
Well, that is the biggest question over here, that if he can behave with a female journalist like this on camera, he knows that everything is going on record, what he must be doing off record, how he must be behaving with the wrestlers, how he must be behaving with his own team members, and how he must have behaved with the victims who have accused him for the alleged sexual harassment cases, not only one but 6 different cases. Now coming to your question once again, that yes, he was indeed intimidating us, not just by saying chup, but after when he went into his car, he just banged the door. What we were doing is, again, we were asking questions in a very decent way. We were just putting out the questions that not once 6 cases are there, and also charge sheet mentions this particular thing, that these all kind of incidents have been happening continuously, is what the victims have said. And that was what I was asking him. But what did he do? He tried to snatch the mic. His bodyguards tried to pull my camera person back, and he threw the mic on the floor. Is that what an MP is supposed to do? He has the audacity to do that. That means he could have done anything else if that was not on camera. What we would have not,
and if you look at the footage carefully, and I specifically asked them to slow down that footage where you put your hand in the car with the mic to ask him the question. He knows your hand is there, and he closes the door not once but twice on your hand. I hope you were not hurt. The 3rd time, just at the last second, his bodyguard moves your hand away, but he is shutting it down with force, knowing your hand is there. You could have been very, very badly hurt, Tejshri, and he didn't care.
Yes, in the video, it could be very clearly seen that my mic was there, and I was holding that mic with my hand, and this entire portion was inside his car, inside the gate, and he just banged the gate despite ignoring the fact that my hand is there inside only. It could have hurt me. Yes, it did hurt, but mic at that point of time was very important, because nobody everybody is answerable, in fact, and nobody can throw our mic in the way that he has thrown. And that's what we kept on asking him. Even after he tried to throw the mic, we kept on asking him the question that this is not the way that he should have responded. And not only at that point of time, the time when he said chup, that time also we asked him that this is not the way that you should speak to us. If we are talking to you, if we are doing our duty in a responsible way, then you are also supposed. He could have said yes, no. He could have evaded the question. He could have directly gone into his car, sat in the car and left from that particular area, left from airport. But he chose to shout at us, to yell at us, to behave in such a rude manner that was really unexpected for us too.
Yeah. No, he's clearly, it's not just the fact that he doesn't want to ask the question. He wants to display his anger at how dare you ask the question. There's a very clear difference over there. And what protects you as a journalist? And if he can do this with you, it's clearly telling you something about this individual's assessment of himself and how much he is protected. I'm opening up the discussion. Please stay on with us. Tejshri Tehseen Poonawala is with us, Sanjay Hegde, as well as Sanjay Kapoor. I'm going to come to Sanjay Kapoor first to get, the point of view of what this means for journalists. I mentioned briefly in my introduction the 2015 proposal by the Press Council of India to get some law in place to protect journalists. Of course, there's no law on a national level to protect journalists. But this is something that the media faces all the time. This time it's caught on camera. This time it's with Tejshri. And this time we are holding this man accountable. But that is not always the case, Mr. Kapoor.
I agree with you. These are very difficult times, especially for the media, because it's been diminished so much since the time this ruling party has very little regard for questions being asked by the media. You see a situation where the Prime Minister has not addressed a single press conference in the 9 years he's been in power. The same mood, the same attitude percolates down. And that is where I think the problem lies. There need to be established protocols between how the media should be, countenancing the ruling party politicians or ministers and how they should be asking questions. And they should be replying to it. But surely, I mean, they get away with whatever they want. And they draw comfort from the fact that there's no law which protects the media from their responsibility. I mean, if you look at it, every time such a thing happens, you go to the court, there is no relief. It takes a lot of time since the time it is forgotten. And that is where I think the problem lies. But I think the real issue is, how does the ruling party treat the media? And in my reckoning, it's a lot to be desired. There is a great difficulty with which people can put in any kind of question. If you remember in the recent US trip, there was a question that was raised by a journalist to the Prime Minister about the violence against minorities and human rights issue. And the fact that she could ask a question was trashed, and she was savaged for even daring to do that. So if that kind of attitude is there, surely the MPs of the ruling party and many others who draws inspiration from them would treat the media like that.
So, Sanjay Kapoor says this is an endemic problem. Sanjay Hegde, in the case of Brij Bhushan Singh and what Tejshri specifically has suffered, is there anything in the law on this? Or is this part and parcel for a journalist now?
Journalist part of it. Right now, under the IPC, there's no specific provision for journalists. A question was being asked, and as Tejshri said, he could have just said no comments. He could have said, he could have refused to answer. At best, what has happened is damage to property, which is the mic. It is entirely fortunate that there was nothing like hurt or grievous hurt, which could have very, very easily occurred had Mr. Singh been able to bang that door. I think from the video that I can see, it was the security man who was holding on to the handle of the car, which prevented it from being banged. So the security man also seems to be suffering in the line of duty. This kind of behavior has to be condemned. You cannot, in dealing with the fourth estate, have that kind of aggression or and certainly nothing physical. The fact that he's a member of parliament is no shield. The public is watching, and ultimately the remedy may not lie in the court. And as Sanjay Kapoor said, the things in the court take a long time. You could technically sue him in a civil court for distress caused to you, but I don't think criminal action in this case is made out. He's been lucky. He's been saved by his security man, and thankfully, Ms. Purandre, you did a good job as a journalist, and things could have got much worse.
Yeah. You know, it's also giving us an insight into the behavior and outlook of an individual who's in the middle of a very, very big controversy. Tehseen Poonawalla, Mr. Singh right now has been accused of some very heinous actions. His misdeeds, like I mentioned, are on the front pages of newspapers. Those details are coming out. Call records are being put together. Photographs are being matched to corroborate with witness statements. And he seems to think that nothing can touch him. Why is that? And is that feeling of being invincible, is that what we're seeing over here? This is a symptom of it, isn't it?
Thank you, Tamanna, for having me on the show. And at the onset, kudos to Tejshri. I met her yesterday. She was on another panel with me on your sister channel. And, you know, it's people like Tejshri and you, Tamanna, the T's that keep the hope alive in our media, in our journalism. So congratulations to you. And if I may add woman power here, because honestly, some of the men journalists in our country leave a lot to be desired. So it's people like you who have a spine and you stand up. Some of the male journalists, I mean, the less said, the better. So kudos. But let me put this in perspective. Here is a very, very powerful member of parliament who on camera and another channel has admitted, I have done only one murder. He's admitted this on camera. The case against Brij Bhushan, Sharan Singh, is not a new case. These allegations are on since 2018 when girls went to him for protein powder. Tamanna, I want your viewers to hear that. For protein powder, he took advantage. These are evidences that are today there in public domain, including digital evidences, as Tejshri said. Yet nothing seems to happen to him. Not just that he continues to rule the Wrestling Federation of India, his son and his son-in-law are also in the Wrestling Federation of India, and the family holds fort out there. Why is this, Tamanna? As Sanjay Kapoor rightly said, the top people in this present union government, no less than a retired army chief who's currently a union minister, says that you in the media, all of y'all in the media, are prostitutes, a language that is used by an ex-army chief. No less than the most honorable prime minister says, aap log bazaru ho. There is no respect. They want to crush the media. There is no accountability. And when people like Tejshri are just doing their jobs, all this MP could have done is said no comments or walked away. I don't share Sanjay Hegde's optimism for his security and his PSOs and his bodyguards, because actually, if you go back to the story which Tejshri hasn't told on camera, but she told me yesterday, and she will tell that, the security was not allowing her to stand at the airport despite her being a journalist and having permission. They were even treating the airport as their private property. Now, Tamanna, the question for your viewers is this. When an empowered journalist of the #1 news channel or news network in the country can be treated this way on camera in the heart of the capital of India, what would this monster be doing to innocent girls who come to him for protein or other help in the privacy? These girls have said he used to have their bedroom in the middle of their rooms. And can I ask one more question slightly away from this topic? Where is PT Usha and Mary Com? Where is that report that should have been out in the public domain within 2 months? Where is that report? And these athletes are medal winners, and these the women that we said that they represented our tricolor. Why are they not putting that report out in public domain? Only to protect this man, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who nobody can touch. I repeat, he said on camera, he has committed a murder and nothing's gone wrong with him.
Objectively speaking, Sanjay Hegde, I want to come to you on this. What really is happening with this case? So one version of events, or those who defend the fact that Mr. Brij Bhushan Singh has not yet been arrested, says that the law takes its own course. A charge sheet is yet to be filed. There are details being leaked in the media every day. And if a court says he will be arrested, so you are presumably innocent until guilty. But in the sequence of events that we've seen, does it seem like this man seems to have some special protection, that the law is not moving at the same pace for him?
Of course. See, when charges like this are levied against any man, ordinary man, then the normal police reaction is to arrest the man as part of the investigation, interrogate him, confront him with the victims, gather corroborative evidence, and even while filing a charge sheet, the gravest charges possible are often levied, so that any court which considers the bail application will also be possibly deterred from giving him immediate bail. That has not happened. He has been treated with kid gloves. He was never arrested. A charge sheet has been filed, though, however, grudgingly. And that and in the meanwhile, what also happened was that the possibility of POXO charges got obviated by possibly the witnesses being tampered with or won over, so that the complainant and her parents withdrew the charges as far as POXO is concerned, that is sex or sexual acts with an underage person. So he has, if I can say it, he's got some special VIP treatment where the process of law will be gone through, but the full force of the law will not be felt by him.
You know, is this sort of kid gloves? And can we understand why? What is so special about this individual? Yes, Tehseen. Yes, go ahead.
So this individual, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, is a Bahubali. This individual is a Bahubali from Eastern UP. Like I said earlier on camera, he's confessed to doing only one murder. But let's look at this case objectively. It is because when these athletes approached Kapil Sibal and his foundation Insaf Ke Sipahi, of which I'm a part, Kapil Sibal went to Supreme Court and this FIR was registered. So let's go to the process. As Sanjay Hegde rightly said, when any person goes with very serious molestation charges, the police register the FIR, arrest the accused and confront him. What happens in this case? For months, the FIR was not registered, not just by Delhi police, the National Commission for Women, none of the other bodies, including the Sports Ministry, took cognizance of the complaint. The International Olympic Association and the Wrestling Federation internationally had to come down to the union government and tell them what is going on in your country, yet no cognizance was taken. It is only when we moved Supreme Court that they agreed to file an FIR. Now, the question is this POXO Act which was withdrawn because they said the girl is not a minor. I firmly believe this also is a lie and done under pressure. And I'll tell you why, Tamanna. If this girl who filed the complaint and now they're saying she's not a minor, was not a minor, does that mean that India was cheating in all these international events by sending overage people to represent India? How did the Indian government, the passport authorities and the Wrestling Federation and other associations not see this? Look at the amount of length this entire government machinery has gone to protect this molester, alleged molester. I again ask one question. Two champions are heading our Olympic Association and were supposed to do this report. Mary Kom and PT Usha. We held these women in very high esteem. They are member of parliament. Why is that report not with Tamanna or Techri? This report was supposed to be in public domain within 2 months of the inquiry. Where is that report? It is all being done to protect Brij Bhushan. Ultimately, what has happened? I'll tell you one more thing. The women who are the victims were confronted 4 to 5 times. Brij Bhushan Singh has not been even once interrogated. And that tells us the reality of the investigation being conducted by Delhi police. They've only had to admit to these charges in the charge sheet because evidence exists. If evidence did not exist, even this they wouldn't have done, despite the Supreme Court monitoring.
And you know, we don't know what the outcome will be. That's for a court to decide. But can you appreciate how difficult it is to find evidence for acts which this person has been accused of. And this is known in law. To find evidence for allegations of sexual harassment, of intimidation, of something that someone does in the confines of their room, how do you go ahead and prove it? And women face this all the time. But I want to come back to Tejshri. And Tejshri, I just want to understand what your thought process was at that point as an individual. Of course, you're a journalist, you're a great journalist, you're a reporter who's asked all of these questions. But at that moment, what were you going through? What was going through your mind? And what was your first response?
I just wanted the answer. Starting from, let's go back in the month of January, when the top wrestlers of the country were sitting and protesting at Jantar Mantar in the national capital. It reminded me of that day. At that point of time also, we had a telephonic conversation with the BJP MP, Mr. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. We talked him over the phone. We asked him at that point of time. He said that no, I am not guilty and I'll hang myself if I am found guilty. These all the charges that they are putting, this is all baseless, this is all political. This is what they said. Now when they said that the law will take its own action, I am ready to face the consequences, whatever they are, because I know that I am correct. Then second time, in the month of June, again, when they sat at Jantar Mantar to protest at the protest site, the same he was repeating the same lines. He was saying again the same things, that it is all politically motivated. They want to demean me, they want to defame me, and this is their agenda and all these things. When FIR was filed, then he said that I'll be giving my version to police. When charge sheet was filed, then he said that I'll give my code to police. Law will take its own action. Then when court asked him to appear on 18th of July, then we asked him the question that what will you be saying to the court? Don't answer to the court, but at least answer to the people of this country. You represent a constituency. At least answer to them.
Yeah.
People have voted for you. You hold a responsible position. And that's what was going in my mind, that this man continuously kept on postponing the questions, kept on jumping off the questions, kept on saying that I'll answer when FIR is filed, I'll answer when charge sheet is filed, I'll answer when police calls me, I'll answer when court asks me. When court will ask, then he will say, when court will call him, then he will say, no, now the matter is with the court, I cannot comment anything. Now the judges will decide, I have faith in the court. Such kinds of comments are now pretty much expected from him. So now at that point of time, one thing was just going on in my mind, that this time we wanted a clear answer rather than just postponing that I'll answer, then I'll answer this, I'll answer after this. That was just going on in my mind at that particular point of time.
You know what I noticed, Tejshri? That when he tried to intimidate you, tried to shut the door of the car on your hand and broke your mic, I didn't see fear on your face. I saw anger. And Brij Bhushan Singh should be very wary, because not every woman he tries to threaten and not every journalist he tries to threaten is going to cower. And you definitely didn't. So kudos to you on that. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the first story this evening. As we wrap up this conversation, I'm going to play out for you some of the comments that have come in on this vile behavior. Listen in.
Yesterday, our reporter Tejshri Purandare, Times Now reporter, basically questioned Brij Bhushan Singh, and she was literally heckled by Brij Bhushan Singh. We basically were asking him that the charge sheet has been filed. Charge sheet basically says that he's liable for a punishment. How do you look at it?
I think she was doing her journalistic duty by asking some tough questions of the person who is being held guilty of the misconduct that he was undertaking while he was the chairperson of WFI. So what is happening is extremely shameful. The arrogant behavior of the Member of Parliament only comes across because you've had the entire government silent, you've had all the ministers silent, not even anyone seeking accountability. They try to undermine the wrestlers, they try to accuse the wrestlers, they called it a politically motivated campaign. But today the truth is for all to see. And considering that he is now exposed, I can very well imagine why he was angry the way he was, because the journalist was doing the right thing by asking him some tough questions.
WFI's website, Wrestling Federation of India, still has the picture of Mr. Brij Bhushan Singh. How appalling is it?
It's appalling, shameful, disgusting, disgraceful. and speaks volumes about what the government of India thinks, works, and how it talks about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao on one side. And here they have totally, I would say, enabled this man to do what he's doing.
The highly condemnable behavior of an MP, BJP MP, but he is in BJP. See, when the criminals, when they go to BJP, whatever the case may be, BJP will pardon them. BJP is like Ganga, which takes away all the sins committed by anybody when they fall in Ganga. So, what is happening is, many people, including Ajit Pawar, where he was facing a case, now the case was dropped because he has joined BJP. So, BJP is the camp of criminals, offenders, all illegal persons.
He's facing some very severe, some very grave charges of sexual misconduct, sexual exploitation, of stalking, of criminal intimidation. And the government of the day is absolutely quiet. How does a man like him, who's been named in the charge sheet, there is a trial that's going to begin, how does he continue to be in the BJP? How does he continue to be in parliament? Is this who our legislators should be? Are these lawmakers? Look at the arrogance and look at the brazen way in which the BJP is still protecting him. The Prime Minister needs to be held accountable. Why did he keep quiet when he knew about all of this since June 2021, according to Vinesh Phogat? This man doesn't deserve to be in India's legislature. This man doesn't deserve to be the MP. How on earth is he continuing as the Federation Chief? Are all big questions.
ब्रिज भूषण सिंह ने जो अन्याय किया है उसके बारे में तो अभी चार्जशीट जो हुआ है उसमें बहुत सारी स्पष्टता आई है, और फिर भी उनको संरक्षण दिया जा रहा है, उन पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हो रही। ये देश के लिए ये कानून कैसा चल रहा है ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा। तो ये तो बहुत निषेधार्य हो रहा है और पूरा देश इसके तरफ देख रहा है कि क्या कर रहे हैं। खुद देश के पंतप्रधान इस पर कोई बात भी नहीं करते, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं होती। इसका मतलब ही यही है कि इसको कोई संरक्षण दे रहा है, उच्च पदस्थ संरक्षण दे रहा है, और ये देश के लिए बहुत बुरा हो रहा है, निषेधार्य हो रहा है।
ब्रिज भूषण ने जो इल्ज़ाम उस पर लगा था वो इल्ज़ाम था, अब ये साबित हो गया कि ये इस तरह का बंदा है जो मीडिया के वुमेन कर्मचारी के साथ ऐसा कर सकता है। वो उन जो इंटरनेशनल जो है क्या नाम है लेडीज़ हैं जिन्होंने इल्ज़ाम लगाया है, ये सही साबित हुआ। और मैं हैरानगी मुझे यह है कि हमारा जो सिस्टम है वो सिस्टम क्यों फेल हो गया ब्रिज भूषण के मामले में। जब ये हुआ ही शुड हैव बीन अरेस्टेड।
How emboldened this man has got that he actually attacked a girl who's a female reporter right on camera, because somewhere in his mind he really believes that he'll be able to get away with anything. And the other thing I want to ask from the center, till when will they shield him? He is an MP from their party. Why is no action taken against him? And a person who actually belongs to the jail is going to be sitting in our parliament and making laws for the country. What kind of a mockery of justice is this? Why no action is taken against Brij Bhushan is my question. And what is the meaning of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao if the champions of the country are not saved? I think it is very shameful. I think this man, his actual place is in jail. He needs to be put in jail. He's one of the biggest goons of the country. He needs to be put in his place, which is jail. And it is so unfortunate that the centre is refusing to act upon it.
All right, we'll take a very short break. But on the other side, Delhi is on alert as the Yamuna River swells to an all-time high. What's happening there? We come back with all the details.